The world is buzzing with excitement and intrigue over the latest moves from the BRICS Union. This coalition of emerging economies, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, has been making headlines with rumors swirling about the launch of a new payment system and even a common currency. This ambitious plan is being touted by agencies close to Russia and China as a bold effort to shake the West's dollar dominance. But on the other side of the globe, the United States, particularly under the leadership of former President Donald Trump, has been making statements that suggest a very different narrative. Trump has declared BRICS is finished and claims that his threat of imposing 100% tariffs has effectively halted their anti-dollar moves. But is that the whole story? Are we witnessing the end of BRICS as a formidable economic bloc? Or is this just the beginning of a new global financial offensive? Let's break this down step by step. On one hand, we have the dream of BRICS countries to create an alternative to Western-controlled financial institutions. They are eager to break the global dominance of the Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication, SWIFT, and the US dollar by developing their own payment systems. This desire for financial independence is not just a passing fancy, it's a strategic move aimed at reducing their vulnerability to Western sanctions and economic pressures. On the other hand, we have the United States, with Trump at the helm, issuing stern warnings. Don't play games with the dollar. I will impose tariffs of up to 100% on BRICS nations. This creates a fascinating dynamic, a diplomatic poker game where the stakes are incredibly high. The question that looms large is, who is bluffing and who is serious? Trump, in his signature brash style, has declared that BRICS is dead. He claims that these 5 countries have been frustrated in their attempts to undermine the dollar, and according to him, his threats have forced them to back down. I have threatened to impose tariffs of up to 100%, he asserts, and these countries cannot afford to be excluded from the U.S. market. But is this really the case? Are the BRICS nations truly retreating in the face of American pressure? Or are they simply biding their time, preparing for a more strategic approach? As we delve deeper, we find that Russian President Vladimir Putin is hosting a gathering of world leaders for the BRICS Summit of Emerging Economies. This event is not just a formality, it's a platform for these nations to discuss their collective goals and strategies. The American media has responded to Trump's claims with a mix of skepticism and support. Some commentators argue that Trump is right, that threatening trade would indeed shake BRICS to its core. Others, however, dismiss his statements as mere political rhetoric, suggesting that BRICS is moving forward regardless of U.S. threats. This topic has been on the table since BRICS was founded. From the very beginning, these nations have voiced their desire to create alternatives to Western-centered structures like the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and the World Bank. They aim to establish their own financial institutions and currency systems. Agencies close to China have openly expressed discomfort with the dollar being used as a tool for sanctions, while Russian financial sources have suffered significantly from being cut off from SWIFT due to Western sanctions. Countries like India and Brazil have made it clear that they want to conduct their own trade without being bound by rules imposed by the West. Yet, at BRICS summits, the idea of adopting a common payment system has always been a topic of discussion. Some refer to it as a BRICS currency, while others suggest trading in local currencies or establishing a common digital payment infrastructure. However, there has been no clear commitment to this idea. The latest news, however, gives the impression that BRICS is now in the actual testing phase of these concepts. This development raises concerns in the United States. Could the dollar's global dominance be shaken? Just as discussions about BRICS's anti-dollar moves were heating up, Trump stirred the pot by declaring, "I ended this group. I have a 100% tariff threat. No one can cover the dollar's throne. According to him, BRICS backed down because they feared losing their trade relations with the United States. But this claim is controversial. China, the largest power within BRICS, is already engaged in a trade war with the United States. Would it really be too afraid of a 100% tariff threat? Russia, which has been partially cut off from SWIFT due to Western sanctions, is already experiencing significant difficulties within the dollar system. How much will Trump's threat actually change this landscape? India and Brazil have strong trade ties with the United States, but would they be so intimidated that they would completely abandon their steps toward greater economic independence? In an interesting development, Brazilian state media has leaked information suggesting that Brazil has declared it will focus on strengthening local payment systems instead of pursuing a common currency. This could signal a weakening of the idea of a BRICS currency. Brazil seems to be saying, I can use my currency without relying on the dollar, but that doesn't necessarily mean we need a common BRICS currency. This perspective raises an important question. Will BRICS completely disintegrate? Trump boasts, I have already beaten this group. But even if BRICS countries do not adopt a full common currency, they may still try to reduce their dependence on the dollar through various mechanisms. So, what does Brazil's new local payment tactic mean for BRICS and the United States? Recently, Brazil announced its intention to abandon the BRICS currency plan in favor of local payment systems. This doesn't necessarily indicate a complete turn away from anti-dollar sentiment, but it does show a desire to postpone the idea of a single common currency. India, on the other hand, cannot afford to distance itself from BRICS entirely. It seeks to maintain good relations with the West, while also balancing its geopolitical interests and securing affordable energy from Russia. Pro-Indian state news reports suggest that any steps that could inflame tensions with the United States should be avoided. This lack of consensus among BRICS members is telling. Some advocate for a swift exit from the dollar, while others prefer a more gradual approach. But is this system a deterrent? Sources close to the Brazilian leadership have stated, we know that trading in dollars is risky, but we do not necessarily need a common BRICS currency. We can trade outside the dollar by strengthening our own local currency mechanisms. For example, Brazil is signing local currency agreements with China and working with regional partners like Argentina to facilitate trade without relying on the dollar. This strategy provides a buffer against potential U.S. sanctions. India is following a similar path with its local currency initiatives, aiming to reduce the dollar's share in its trade, step by step, without making a major revolutionary shift. Even if Trump continues to threaten 100% tariffs, Brazil might respond by saying, I will cover my deficit with Asian or regional trade. This approach doesn't signify a complete break from the dollar, but it does suggest that the United States may have less leverage over BRICS countries than before. As BRICS prepares for its next summit, the agenda will likely include discussions on artificial intelligence, global health policies, and financial reform. While anti-dollar moves, a common currency, or a payment system may not be on the table, it would be overly optimistic to assume that everything will be clear-cut. The contradictions within BRICS continue to simmer. At this summit, they may agree on a framework to facilitate trade in local currencies, but a complete dollarization revolution is not expected. The positions of India and Brazil remain uncertain. It may not be enough for Russia and China to drive the agenda forward. However, Trump's 100% tariff threat has cast a shadow over this summit. The U.S. administration has made it clear, if you try to replace the dollar, I will wipe you out in my market. Some BRICS members view the U.S. market as vital, making the complete elimination of dollar dependence a challenging prospect. Perhaps they will announce a symbolic common payment system and proceed cautiously. This raises one of the most striking questions. If BRICS members actually set up systems to weaken the dollar's dominance, would the United States retaliate with massive tariffs? Would this lead to a complete fragmentation of global trade into competing blocs? Some analysts argue that tariffs would escalate, plunging the world into a new era of trade war where no one emerges victorious. Others contend that if BRICS establishes its own payment network, the impact of the West's tariff weapon would diminish, potentially leading to a de-escalation of tariffs altogether. There is no clear answer to what will happen next. However, there is a general expectation that both sides will seek to reach an agreement through diplomacy, avoiding the use of their most extreme measures. Yet, with Trump 2.0 on the horizon, the wave of protectionism may rise again. If BRICS takes steps to create its own trade networks, the United States may respond with threats of 100% tariffs. This means that diplomatic negotiations will ultimately determine the real balance of power. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, turn on notifications, and hit that like button. This story of non-dollar trade and tariff wars is far from over, and it will continue to make headlines in the coming months. Until next time, goodbye for now.